Hello everyone and thanks for joining us. This is Amhara Media Corporation, Amhara TV News. I am Gaila Damu. Stay with us. Amhara National Regional State Disaster Prevention and Food Security Program Coordination Office has called on the international community to provide humanitarian assistance for persons displaced due to the invasion of the terrorist TPLF group in the region. It is indicated that more than 1.1 million people have been displaced in the region due to the invasion of the terrorist TPLF group. Communication head of the office, Iyasu Mesfin, stated that only 2% of the total internally displaced peoples have now been in temporary shelters. According to him, among the internally displaced peoples, 54,354 are children, and there are also more than 14,000 pregnant and lactating mothers, as well as people with disabilities and elderly. The head urged that, though the regional government is working in collaboration with the federal government to reach out humanitarian aid to the displaced have still been in dire condition that require urgent assistance. He said that some 98% of the internally displaced peoples have so far been living with the support of the community and relatives in the region. Urging the community to continue their support, particularly to those vulnerable groups, the communication head called on international humanitarian organizations to play their part in providing urgent assistance to the internally displaced peoples in the region. According to Government Communication Service, some 1.2 million students are out of school and about 47,000 teachers out of job in the Amhara region due to the invasion of the terrorist TPLF group. Andrew Nathaniel reports.
Briefing journalists, Government Communication Service State Minister Salamoit Kasa disclosed that close to 1.2 million students are out of school and about 47,000 teachers jobless in the region. The terrorist group has also damaged 2 teacher training institutes and destroyed some 1,660 schools in the Amhara region alone. Of the total 1,660 damaged schools, 277 are totally destroyed. The state minister added that in Afar region, the terrorist TPLF also damaged 455 schools. According to her, the terrorist group has also been creating social and economic crisis in Amhara and Afar regions. To partly alleviate the problem, the federal government has provided over 265,000 quintals of food aid for more than 1 million displaced people in the Amhara region relief food. Similarly, over 36,000 quintals of food has been provided for 76,000 displaced persons in Afar region. Salamoit stated that 2 humanitarian air flights and 8 tree trucks carrying aid have been dispatched to Tigray region. Meanwhile, the government, in collaboration with partners and stakeholders, is making preparations to reconstruct the damaged and destroyed schools and institutions in areas liberated from TPLF. Finally, she noted that Ethiopian security forces have been on the offensive and are liberating invaded areas in Amhara and Afar regions from the terrorist group. The state minister called on the public to increase their support for the survival campaign and stand alongside the defense force to end the damage and atrocities being committed by the terrorist group.
The hashtag No More campaign by Ethiopians and Friends of Ethiopia should be amplified, according to African Development Group. Fukradi Zaudu tells us more.
Currently organized by the Horn of Africa Hub, the No More campaign was created by a coalition of Ethiopian and Eritrean activists led by former Al Jazeera and current CBS journalist Hermela Regawi. Its central objective is to oppose the ongoing Western media disinformation campaign, economic warfare, diplomatic propaganda, and military interventions in Africa in general, and the Horn of Africa in particular. Talking to Ethiopian news agency African Development Group President and CEO Kasum Koulibaly said the campaign should be amplified.
The campaign must be amplified. We need the media from Ethiopia to be open to us. Televisions, radios, websites, and so on. We need to have different languages from Africa, French, Arabic, Spanish, Portuguese, to come together. We need not to talk only online. We need to bring people inside the continent and to have a network of African, Ethiopian, African Peace Corps builders, across the continent, and to have one voice. We need to devote one day to support Africa and to support Ethiopia in that situation.
Furthermore, the president and CEO said talk on only online is not enough. People inside and outside the continent, Africans and Ethiopian Peace Corps builders across the continent need to have a voice. According to him, the continent should not allow any Western country to interfere in African issues.
We need to raise our voices as Pan-Africanists, as Africans inside Africa, inside the diaspora, to come together as one children of Africa, so that we need to have peace and reconciliation now in Ethiopia, because we are Africans and also we are Ethiopians. Peace in Ethiopia is peace in Africa.
Recalling that he had spent 7 days last week in Addis Ababa, he said,
"Last week, I spent one night in Addis Ababa. I am telling you, I am a silver Sheva Miles of Ethiopian Airlines. Ethiopian Airlines is our Pan-African best, well-known, airline. And we are proud to have Ethiopian Airlines in Africa. It's the airline I took everywhere I go to Africa. Ethiopia is safe. Addis Ababa is safe. Ethiopian Airlines is safe. We need to continue to take Ethiopian Airlines to do our travel. Nothing will happen to us."
Koilibali called on African citizens inside and outside Africa to come together as one people to support Ethiopia to bring peace and stability. Noting that Africa has the youngest population in the world with ample resources, the president and CEO said no power that wants to take the power of Africa should be allowed. He said that his campaign is not only for Ethiopia, but also for Mali, Western African countries, Central African countries, and other regions in Africa. He noted that the solution is standing in unison as one country so that the negative campaign Africa is facing from powers out of the continent could be managed. Coulibaly stressed that as human beings, Africans need to stand up and fight, adding that he will take the lead to put in place African Peace Corps to come right now to Ethiopia and with all over African young women and men to bring peace and reconciliation and to support communities toward this sustainable development and make Ethiopia great again. According to him, when Ethiopia is great again, Africa will be great again.
Americans of Ethiopian descent say that concerted efforts have been started to increase participation in U.S. politics to maintain Ethiopia's interest and resist pressure and interference. Abebe Brahani has the details.
It was indicated about 500,000 Ethiopian descendants live across U.S. Some Americans of Ethiopian descent from the U.S. told Ethiopian news agency that concerted efforts have been begun to increase participation in the U.S. politics to resist pressure on Ethiopia and maintain its interest. Bahailu Asafa from California said the participation of Ethiopians in the demonstrations being held to denounce U.S. pressure on Ethiopia have beared fruit, noting that concerted effort to enhance the engagement of Ethiopians in the U.S. politics is underway. He stated that Ethiopians in the U.S. are engaged in promoting Ethiopia's interest in various ways, including conducting civic diplomacy and establishing organizations and coalitions working on political issues. He said that strategies have been developed to enable the Ethiopian diaspora involved in U.S. politics by becoming senators and members of Congress. Abiy Gebrehiyot from Washington, D.C. stated that the strategy is to set up 3 very powerful political affiliation committees in the U.S. and support them financially.
የቮቲንግ ብላክ ፓወር አለን። ያንን ያደረግነው ቨርጂኒያ ላይ ዴሞክራቶችን ማስጠንቀቂያ ነው የሰጠነው። እንደ ድሮ ያለም ቮት አንድ ባስኬት ውስጥ አይደለም መንከት።
That's what we did in Virginia. We warned the Democrats. We will not put our votes in the same basket as in the past. We will have our own senators.
የራሳችን ካውንስልመን ይኖረናል፣ የራሳችን ኮንግረስማኖች ይኖሩናል፣ የራሳችን ሴኔተሮች ይኖሩናል።
አለማየሁ አበበ also from California said
500,000 ኢትዮጵያኖች አሉ አሜሪካን ውስጥ ከነዛ መሃል 250,000
out of the 500,000 Ethiopians live in the US. About 250,000 can vote in elections as the US federal, state and local elections are allowed for US citizens.
ያንን ነው መስራት ያለብን። ለውጥ ማድረግ እንችላለን። ፍሊፕ ማድረግ እንችላለን።
According to him, the diaspora in the US is more committed than ever to support Ethiopia in any way possible. Ambassador Fekadu Reta, a resident of Chicago, expressed his hope that peace will finally prevail in Ethiopia and Ethiopians will continue to work for the development of their country together.
ባለሙሉ ተስፋ ነኝ አገራችን ሰላም ትሆናለች። ዲያስፖራውና ህዝቦቻችን መንግስታችን አንድ ሆኖ
I am hopeful that our country will be at peace. We, the diaspora and our people, work together more for the development of our country, for the prosperity of our country and for the sovereignty of our country.
በአመራርም ሆኑ በሁሉም ቦታ ያሉት ከዲያስፖራ ጋር ወንድሞችና እህቶቻቸው ጋር አብረው እንደሚሰሩ ተስፋ እናደርጋለን።
ይሄንን ጦርነት በአጭር ጊዜ አቀላጥፎ ከጨረሰና ሰላም ከተፈጠረ
If this war is over in a short period of time and peace prevailed, many things can be done. However, without peace, nothing can be done.
ብዙ ነገሮች መስራት ይቻላል። ያለ ሰላም ግን ምንም ነገር መነቃነቅ አይቻልም።
It is to be recalled that Ethio-American Samra Brook defeated Republican nominee Christopher Mesek in the New York state election in 2020. Similarly, Ethiopia-born Obala Obala has won historic city council seats in 2020 election in the southeast Minnesota city of Austin.
President of Ethiopian American Civic Council, President Yosef Tafari, said that the recent video showing former Western diplomats and TPLF leaders discussing regime change in Ethiopia is an indisputable confirmation that Western powers and the terrorist TPLF are on the same page to destroy Ethiopia. Branwork and has more.
The leaked video shows Western diplomats and leaders of the terrorist group TPLF discussing plans to overthrow a democratically elected government. Among the discussants were U.S. Ambassador to Somalia Donald Yamamoto, V.C. Kodulistan, former Charge d'Affaires ad interim to Ethiopia, and Birhane Gebre Christos, a long-time TPLF official who served as Ethiopia's ambassador to the United States for 10 years. In an exclusive interview with Ethiopian news agency, Ethiopian American Civic Council President Deacon Yosef Tafari said the leaked video is aimed at pushing the agenda of dismembering Ethiopia and it is highly coordinated and well planned.
But what this particular meeting has done, even though it is recorded privately, secretly, thank God for this to come to the public domain, that we now have a full evidence on how the major actors of TPLF and the diaspora and some of the authorities and policymakers of the United States and other Western countries for the first time privately got together and felt so together, were able to be on the same page as if they, in the previous days and weeks had similar discussion. And this was just a continuation of what they stopped talking about a week ago or a few days ago, and they picked it up just now to finish it.
According to the president, the genealogy of intensifying unhelpful pressure against Ethiopia has evolved from the time last year when the Ethiopian National Defense Force of Northern Command was attacked, and it has a similar track record. Deacon Yosef stated that the 9 people meeting, which was plotting to overthrow the democratically elected Ethiopian government, is a continuation of the anti-Ethiopian narrative of these Western powers jointly with TPLF. He noted that the intentions of the Western diplomats who were a part of that conspiracy meeting were entirely similar to those of the TPLF representatives.
Because they were completely in harmony. They were on the same page. Their analysis, their chronology, and the way that they talked about how the war has progressed and to where it is now. They were in total agreement with it. And we finally got that evidence of the work that they have done, which we have witnessed for almost a year now, we've got a solid evidence, in fact, how this is unfolding right before our eyes. And that's why this is a remarkable evidence that have fallen in our hands. But it did not yield anything new. It did not prove anything that we didn't know or we didn't suspect. It just confirmed it. And for that, we are very grateful.
He pointed out that now the terrorist TPLF is obviously the main actor sworn to destabilizing Ethiopia and the major culprit, adding that it is now crystal clear that some diplomats and policymakers with the US administration and also from other countries are basically discussing overriding the will of the Ethiopian people. The president recalled that Ethiopia had conducted elections in June 2021, which can be dubbed as perfect, at least in African election practice. It was the most legitimate, transparent and fair election. Dekan Yosef explained that the ongoing Western attempts and the conspiracy by those leaked video participants to overthrow the democratically elected government disregards the over 40 million voters casted in the 6th general election.
In a forum like this, when the TPLF agents go on and say that they're establishing a transitional government to do away the will of 40 million Ethiopians, any diplomat, any policymaker in the room, first and foremost, should have objected to such discussion. Because this delegitimizing a major portion of a population of a country like Ethiopia will literally invalids that meeting to be of any substance, because it negates the principle of democracy.
As the general content of this video deals with violently overthrowing a government, Dekan Yosef urged the concerned bodies from the Ethiopian side, including the government, to look into the issue seriously and give a proper reply. The president said he expects and encourages to the Ethiopian government to protest against those people and act for accountability in an attempt to topple down a government in a sovereign nation. Ethiopian American Civic Council is one of the powerful pressure entity in the diaspora recently working for the protection of Ethiopia's sovereignty.
You're watching Amhara Media Corporation, Amhara TV News, and now let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate in karat rates. That's all the news we have for today. I'm Gaila Damu. Many thanks for watching. Stay safe and have a wonderful time.